Class 12th. Welcome to the online tutorial sessions for economics. Today we are going to continue our third chapter, which is national income. And today we are here with the new method for measuring national income, which is the income method. Now, with the income method, we can calculate the national income from the perspective of factor incomes. Here we just assume that if all the factor income of the residents and citizens of our country, if added, if summed up, then we can have the income, that is national income of the country. All the incomes that accrue to the factor of production. Factor production means by land, by labor, by capital, by entrepreneurship. Whatever factor income which we earn through the land, labor, capital and entrepreneurship, we get the wages, profit, rent, interest, etc. If they are summed up, if they are totaled, if they are added up, we obtain the national income. Is that clear? All the income of our country, domestic income, and then if we add the NFIA, net factor income from abroad, then we can have the income, that is national income of our country. Now, income method is also known as distributive share method and factor payment method. If in the paper, if it's asked that what is the other name of income method, then distributive share method or factor payment method. Is that clear, students? Now, let's start with the components of factor income. What other factor incomes are to be added? Let's start with the first one. Let's start with the components, and mind it, these components are published by the World Bank and the United Nations. That's why we are going to study it. Now the first component is operating surplus. Now what is operating surplus? Operating surplus refers to the income from property and entrepreneurship. It means how much property I am having and whatever business I am doing. From both the business and my property, whatever income I am generating, that income will be operating surplus. Is that clear? It refers to the income from property and entrepreneurship. Is that clear? Now, what does operating surplus includes? It includes rent, royalty, interest and profit. These are very easy things. Now, what is rent? Rent is that part of national income which arises from ownership of land and building. If you give your land or building to someone, and for that rendering of land and building, you will get some rent, then that income in the form of rent will be part of national income and will be considered as the operating surplus. Now the next one is royalty. Now what is royalty? It refers to income received for granting leasing rights of subsoil assets. Now understand this with an example. Suppose where you live, where your house has been built, under that ground level you find a gold mine. You found out that there has been a gold mine inside the land. Now, what will happen? The government will take over that land and will provide you some other place to live. But up to the date the gold is inside that land, you will receive the royalty from the government. If there is gold inside your land and the government takes it, then up to the date the gold is inside the land, you will receive all the royalty from that, because you have given that land on lease to the government. Is that clear? Now, whatever income you are receiving by granting leasing rights of subsoil assets under the soil, whatever there is inside the soil, you will get some royalty. Whatever is above the soil, that is the rent, and whatever is inside the soil, that is the royalty. I hope I am very clear for it. Okay, let's start with the next one. Component of operating surplus is interest. You all know what is interest. It refers to the amount received for lending funds or capital to a production unit. If you are giving some amount of money, capital or funds, you are providing funds to some production unit, to a person who is producing something, that when you will receive that interest, that interest will be your operating surplus. That interest will be included in the operating surplus. So it refers to the amount received for lending funds and capital to a production units. But mind it, those funds should be for some productive purpose only, not for sister's marriage. You got it? It should be something for the productive purpose only. There should be some production work going on with that funded money. Now let's come to the fourth one, which is profit. Now under operating surplus, the fourth component is profit. It is the reward for the entrepreneur for his contribution of the production of goods and services. Whatever the entrepreneur is earning, finally, that is the profit. The profit earned by the business is the profit earned by the entrepreneur. That is the reward. So that is the profit. Now let's come to the further subdivisions of profit. The term profit is used for three purposes, which we are going to learn now. Now students, profit is used for three purposes. There are three purposes of profit in which profit is being divided. The first purpose of profit is corporate tax. This corporate tax is paid directly to the government by the enterprise on the total profit earned. Whatever amount of profit earned by the enterprise, the small proportion of that profit will be sent to the government, will be paid directly to the government. Is that clear? Now, this corporate tax is also known as profit tax or business tax. Whatever amount of profit is earned by the business organization, some portion of it will be paid directly to the government, and that's the corporate tax. The second purpose of profit is dividend. That part of the profit which is paid to the shareholders in the ratio of their shareholdings. The owners of this business, whoever is having the shares of that business enterprise, will receive some amount of money, and that amount is being shared, which is known as dividend. And this dividend is shared from the profit only. Dividend is the part of profit which is paid to the shareholders in the ratio of their shareholdings. In whatever ratio they are holding the shares, will receive the dividends. And the last one is retained earning. But students, one more thing. Dividend is also known as distributed profits because it is being distributed among the shareholders. And retained earnings is that part of profit which is kept as reserve. Whatever amount we are saving for ourselves for the better future of the business, for the expected problems which are going to come or expansion of the business. For that purposes, if we are saving some money, then that money from that profit is known as retained earning. It is also known as undistributed profits because these profits are not being distributed with anyone. It is also known as savings of the private sector, or it is also known as reserves and surplus. Now students, in so many questions they have been asking calculate profit. Now if profit is given in the question, then no problem. But if profit is not given, then you have to add these things, corporate tax, dividend and retained earning, to calculate the profit. Let's come to the second component of income method. Students, the next component is compensation of employees. Compensation of employees, in short we write it COE. Now COE refers to amount paid to employees by employer for rendering productive services. Like me, I am being paid for my teaching. Is that clear? By my employer. So compensation of employees means the amount paid to employees by employer for rendering productive services. Now the employees are paid in different forms, like wages and salary in cash. Whatever salary I am getting, or bonuses I am getting, allowances, the train ticket or other allowances, and commissions, whatever commissions I am having, these all are included in the wages and salary in cash. Now, wages and salary in kinds. Sometimes the employer provides us rent-free home, in which you don't have to give any rent. You get the car for your accommodation, for your transportation, and free medical and education services. Is that clear? Now, the third one is employer's contribution to social security scheme. It means some portion from your salary is being saved by the employer, and the employer adds some of the amount into that saved portion and kept that portion with himself, and when the employee leaves the business, he receives that income plus the additional income added by the employer. Then that income is known as provident fund. Listen to me again. Suppose I am the employee somewhere and I receive, my income is 1000 rupees, and from that 1000 rupees I receive 800 rupees and 200 rupees is kept by my employer. For every month my 200 rupees are with him. When I will leave that institution, then my employer will add some more amount to it and will give me the whole amount plus that amount which is being included by my employer. So in the future, when I leave that company or that institution, I will receive some of the income. That will be the factor, and that will be included in the compensation of employees in the form of provident fund, which is the part of employer's contribution to social security schemes. Is that clear, students? Okay. The third and last component of income method is mixed income. Now, what is mixed income? Income generated by own account workers, those who are doing their job with themselves. He is the only one who is working. For example, farmers, barbers, a doctor running his own clinic, a teacher running his own coaching center. Is that clear? A farmer, barber, doctor running his own clinic, a teacher running his own coaching center, all these things come under the mixed income. Is that clear? So, from all these things, all these components, we get to know that by the help of income method, we can calculate the national income with the help of domestic income. We have to calculate the domestic income with these components, and while adding the NFIA, we will get the national income. Now, components of factor income, what are they? Operating surplus. Under operating surplus, there is rent, royalty, interest, and profit. And under profit, there is corporate tax, dividend, and retained earnings. And plus compensation of employees, which compensation of employees will be added in the operating surplus. And the parts of compensation of employees are wages and salary in kinds, employers' contribution to social security schemes, and wages and salaries in cash. And the last one is mixed income. Let's come to the formula of this method. Let's revise it once again. With the help of income method, we calculate NDP-FC. NDP-FC means domestic income. Domestic income. So NDP-FC means domestic income. How do we calculate the NDP-FC, domestic income, with the help of income method? We add the operating surplus, compensation of employees, and mixed income. Is that clear? Now, to calculate operating surplus, we know that is rent, royalty, interest, and profit. If we add these things, we have the operating surplus. And if profit is not given completely, then we have to calculate it by adding its components, which are corporate tax, dividend, and retained earnings. With the help of corporate tax, dividend, and retained earning, we can have the profit. And to calculate compensation of employees, we have to add salary, wages in cash, in kind, and employers' contribution to Social Security scheme. So we have this formula. In short, we can write that NDPFC is equal to rent plus royalty plus interest plus profit plus compensation of employees and plus mixed income. So this is your formula. After calculating NDPFC, to convert it into national income, you need to calculate national income with the help of domestic income. What you do? We just add, to convert domestic into national, what do? We add the net factor income from abroad, and thus we can have the national income. My dear students, I hope I am very clear to you. It's been a very long day and we have completed our income method. Is that clear? Learn these formulas, note down all the things which were written on the board from the minutes before, all the components, just note it down, make notes from the board and note down these formula. Is that clear? Okay. See you soon.